Yeah, 4 acres.
Say it again?
Yeah, 4 acres.
No, I got Jerry Foraker.
That's what he said, Your Honor.
Oh,
That's what he said. You just
Didn't
couldn't hear
sound
because
like
it's
it.
muffled.
all right, sir, you've been charged with trespass on property after warning. I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. Are we gonna resolve it today?
Yes, Your Honor, State did,
No, Your Honor, there's competency issues. I did try to speak with him. I have concerns, and on his other case, I read the notes, and the attorney has concerns as well. In the old cases, sorry, had competency concerns, but when I spoke with him, he does not appear to know what's going on, Your Honor.
Okay. Does he have any ability to make bond?
No, he's homeless, Your Honor. He's homeless. He was sleeping
Yeah,
on a bench.
What about if I say the bond at 500, you can file your suggestion and maybe get him examined quickly?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so I'll stay the bond at 500.
Thank you.
Your Honor, State just asked for a no return.
Yes, and no return to 1650 West Sand Lake Road in Orlando, Florida.
Jeremy Keller is behavior.
And if you'll point, Your Honor, I will waive the appearance.
Okay, and he does qualify, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent him. I'll find probable cause and stay the bond at 5,000, no contact with the alleged victim.
Nicholas O'Neill refused.
I will waive if you appoint us, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender, I'll find probable cause, and I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. Please step forward and tell me your name.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Rasim Buddha.
He's Rueda, right? Rueda.
It's under a POPCA. All right, sir, so you're here for the arraignment on your violation of probation. And you had the public defender representing you in the main case. Would you like the public defender to represent you in the VOP proceeding?
We're already appointed, Your Honor, from what I see.
Okay, so you were appointed at the IA?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so
We're gonna-
So the alleged violation is that the probationer committed the offense of contempt of court, violation of injunction, protection, domestic violence on or about November 4th, as reflected in the arrest affidavit, a copy of which is attached here too. Are you entering a denial?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll enter the denial, and then it'll be set for a VOP status in Division 50 on
December the 19th at 9 a.m., courtroom 4E.
Please tell me your name.
Dominique Burton Harms.
PC challenge on this case, Your Honor. As to the trespass in a structure conveyance, Your Honor, I would have just argued no PC. This occurred at a Walmart. Based on the affidavit, there's no indication that he was not allowed to be there. There was a prior trespass. It just states that they want to press charges for the theft and trespass, but I don't see anything to indicate he was trespassed prior to, Your Honor, being there.
Yeah, it does say, he wanted to press charges on behalf of Walmart for the theft and trespass after warning, but there's nothing in the affidavit to indicate when the trespass warning was given.
Your Honor, state has no objection to RORing count 1 and just setting bond as to count 2, because there is not an offer due to the defendant being out on bond also for a petty theft that he just picked up 12 days ago.
Right, so, yes, so I see here that the defendant was ROR'd on 11/14 and then committed the new offense on 11/15. So all I'm going to, on the new case, I'll ROR on count 1, the trespass and occupied structure or conveyance. But on the petty theft, I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $500. And in case number 2022 MM 7413AO, I'm gonna revoke the ROR, and I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $2,500. And I'm gonna require that the defendant not return to the Walmart located at 10500 West Colonial Drive.
Thank you.
William Torado, he bonded. What's going on with Melanie Kelly? Oh, he's still behaving.
Oh,
Oh, so
we're gonna try for in the morning, Your Honor, because I'm gonna send someone to go speak with him.
okay, all right, we'll shoot for the morning on him.
And then who you said bonded? William Calvero Torado?
We just did that one. Here's the one that bonded. All right. Please step forward and state your name. May I have your name, please? All right, Ms. Fallon, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'm gonna reduce the bond to $500.
Your Honor,
No
state-
contact with the alleged victim and no return to the 112 North Buena Vista
I
Avenue.
have all my stuff there, important papers. Passport, my
Does she have a one-time return with law enforcement to gather her belongings? Your-
Yes, she can return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve her personal belongings.
one thing,
Come on, talk.
oh,
All right, please step forward and state your name.
Anonymous Dean is behavior.
And if you'll point, Your Honor, I will waive the appearance. There's no offer.
All right, I'll appoint and I'll stay the bond at $500 and no contact with the victim. But I am going to revoke the bond in 2022 CF 11778 AO.
Your Honor, I would ask that you take no action. The state hasn't moved forward on filing. She was arrested, looks like October 10th of this year, but no charges have been filed to date.
And I might be getting this one confused, but isn't it the same victim? That we had 3 different people with the same last name, and I might be getting their cases confused. But isn't this the same victim as in the other case?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. I believe in the new law, it's Eugenia Santiago, and then the out on bond, it's Malfa Jean. So I believe it's two different victims.
Okay, all right, I'm beginning to get confused with our other Jean cases. All right, then I won't take any action on the case that hasn't been filed on yet.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna appoint the public defender, and I have, competency concerns. There's 1 year is up in the case that, he's got right now, the 2021 MM 5198.
Yes.
There was a finding of incompetency, the 1 year is up in December. And so on this one, I'll just, ROR 'em. If you can file the notice of related cases and then get it in front of, since it's been a year, probably the state, or we probably need a new eval. But, I'm just gonna require no return to the 7-Eleven at 6994 West Colonial. Take no action.
You don't have to pay.
Please state your name. Are you Mr. Wetle? I don't know how to pronounce that. Wetley? All right, sir. Did you want to be represented by a public defender in the case?
I still can't, I'm kind of hard of hearing, miss.
Oh, that's.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I spoke with you.
We can
Well, I
help you
have a
out with that.
lawyer, Tim and Mr.
I know.
And Maryland Illich, LLC, Detroit Tigers. Drill lawyers.
Is the PD already appointed in the underlying cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Village LLC, Detroit Tigers, on behalf of.
And since those are 2020 cases, did we want to resolve them, or is there
There's
issues?
competency. I didn't,
My lawyers.
there was an offer in the case, Your Honor. I do see he's been deemed incompetent out of state. I'm not sure the attorney assigned knows that, but based on the rambling, I would just ask that you stay so I can have him, speak to the attorney about having him evaluated.
Yeah, the judge in the case set the bonds at 1,000 on each of the FTAs, so I'll stay them.
Thank you.
Dennis Williams refused.
All right, I'll provisionally appoint the public defender, and I find probable cause, and I'll stay the bond at $250.
Alfonso McKnight.
Tell me your name again, sir?
Alfonso McKnight.
Okay, and this is a failure to appear. Is the PD appointed in the underlying CT case?
Can I get the pen? No, Your Honor, he doesn't have an attorney appointed. But
Okay.
there,
He does qualify, so I'll appoint.
he has, an offer to actually resolve.
Oh,
the-
good. I was gonna ask if you wanted to resolve it.
Yes, Your Honor. The offer from the state to resolve, I believe it's attaching a tag not assigned, is an adjudication of guilt, credit, time served, and court costs, and Mr. McKnight would like to accept an enter plea of no contest.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alfonso, do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up in exchange for your plea agreement? Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking? Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today? Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation? Are you currently on probation for any other offense? On the charge of attaching tag not assigned, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served. And I'm going to assess mandatory court costs. As to the financial obligations, I'm going to give you 6 months to pay that off. If for any reason you're unable to pay it off within that time, report to the clerk's office to set up a payment plan. And Ms. George, do you mind if I don't appoint you so he doesn't have an extra 50?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm not appointing the PD in that case.
Ms. Key, how many days you have?
2 days.
2?
2 days. All right, Mr. Alfonso, thank you. Please follow the officer out the blue door.
Aaron Maney bonded.
Okay.
Miguel Ortiz,
Okay.
Michael Roberts.
All right, Mr. Roberts, you're here on a failure to appear, and the underlying case is a driving while license suspended. Are we going to resolve it today?
Yes, Your Honor. The state made an offer to resolve with an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and court costs. He does not have an attorney, so I just ask that you not appoint us. And he would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
And this should not HCO him. He does have one 2018 withhold. So this should only be his second within 5.
Was it a magistrate or a county court?
It was county court.
All right, sir, so this will be, I have to inform you that driving while license suspended is an enhanceable offense. If you receive 3 in a 5-year period, your license can be revoked as an habitual traffic offender. In addition, this will be your second one within 5 years. If you commit another act, you can have mandatory jail time of 10 days. So you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up in exchange for your plea agreement?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, ma'am.
All right, are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, ma'am.
Is anybody forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
All right, on the charge of driving while license suspended, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. I'm gonna give you credit for time served of
2 days.
2 days, and I'm gonna assess mandatory court costs. As to the financial obligations, I'm gonna give you 6 months to pay that off. If for any reason you can't pay it off within that time, report to the clerk's office to set up a payment plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Please follow the officer out the blue door. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Ash.
All right, Mr. Ash, you've been charged with, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I do find probable cause, and I'm going to stay the bond at $3,500. And then I was confused by the factual pattern. Do they all live together?
No, Your Honor.
You don't live, with okay, so I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim and witnesses.
I believe 2 of the witnesses potentially live with him. However, I believe the victim does not.
Yeah, I was trying to follow, it was confusing.
Your Honor, and can he have a one-time return when law enforcement gather his belongings?
Yes.
Birch Chandler bonded.
Birch Chandler. Who?
Sean
Yeah,
Cronin?
Brantley, what happened to Jeromaxia Brantley?
No, Sean Cronin.
She's not talking to you.
You have MA number, jail number?
No, here's Brantley.
22026784.
Bonded.
Please state your name.
Sean Cronin?
All right, Mr.
And
Cronin.
Your Honor, I also have a PC challenge in this case as well.
Okay, first let me appoint the public defender. You do qualify, so I'll appoint the public defender. Okay, go ahead. What's your challenge?
As to the burglary tools, There's no indication in this arrest affidavit that the tools that the police officers found on my client, he was in the process of using for a burglary or did use in a burglary. It just states he had a backpack on him with these items: wrench, screwdrivers, gloves, wire cutters, but no indication of an attempted burglary. So I just argue no PCS to the burglary tools, possession of burglary tools.
State.
Your Honor, state has no objection. I believe we have one element of the 4 that we potentially need. However, it doesn't appear that he intended to commit a burglary based off the fact pattern, that he intended to use those tools to commit that battery, or he took some overt act. I believe he was allegedly just riding his bike when he was stopped. And there's no other indication that he was stealthily around a building or anything that would give that indication. So state has no objection to ROR on count 1, given that there's no PC.
All right, on count 1, I'll ROR the defendant. On count 2, resisting officer without violence, I'll set bond in the amount of $500. And in count 3, I'll set the bond at ROR.
What's the 100 for the bond?
May I have your name, please?
Cameron Cutler.
All right, Mr. Cutliff, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with driving while licensed, suspended, third or subsequent offense. And I'll stay the bond at $2,500.
Jerome Davis bonded.
Please step forward and state your name.
Arthur Dean Dawn.
All right, Mr. Daunton. You do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and cruelty to animals. I'll stay the bonds. And I'm going to revoke the bond in 2021 CF 12881AO, and I'll set it at $7,000. And I do want to note that he has a pretrial conference tomorrow. In that case, he does have a public defender appointed. So just make sure if he's unable to bond out that he gets transported tomorrow or his counsel gets in touch with him.
And Your Honor, in the new law, state would ask for no contact, no weapons, and a no return
Yes,
on the new law.
I'll order, well, I mean, they live, it's in
M100.
tents. I can't, well, you can't go back to the woods?
Your Honor, I mean, the state's just concerned that he allegedly went up to the tent and opened it and
Yeah, well, I'm gonna require that you not have any contact with the alleged victim and, I mean, I don't even know where it is, we're just in the tent.
2000 Parks Oak Drive.
All right, Mr. Daughton, I'm gonna require that you not return to the scene and that you not possess any weapons or firearms. Tell me your last name?
Everson.
All right, ma'am, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you.
And, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I also had a PC challenge. As far as the weight, well, as to count 1, really, it's the weight. Your Honor, based on the arrest affidavit, the only thing that was stated by the officer was it was a predetermined weight. There was no weighing of the actual methamphetamines to determine that it was over 14 grams. So I would argue no PCS to that charge.
Your Honor, I believe it just says over and over,
Predetermined.
it was a predetermined weight for the substance was 16.4 grams. And then he found several different baggies along while doing the search. One of the baggies was 1.48 predetermined weight. One was 1.37, one was 0.38, one was 0.9.
Yeah, what does that mean, though? How was it predetermined? Who
Your Honor, I
predetermined it?
am not sure. So Your Honor, state would just ask that you stay the bond at 50,000 and reset for tomorrow for,
So you're
see
asking
the
for
duration.
24 more hours?
Yes, please.
And will that be on each of the co-defendants? Because they're all charged with the same. Or just one other one. I think it's set for today too. I saw him.
Well, I'm not sure if the other co-defendant's here, so.
Hester, yeah, he's
Cool.
here. He's up for today. All right, so, for right now, I'll stay the bonds, but we can, if the defendant doesn't bond out, we can reset it for tomorrow for the PC challenge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And no contact with the co-defendant. She doesn't bond out. Gild's bonded. Okay. Please step forward and tell me your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bryant Fulmore.
All right, Mr. Fulmore, you do not qualify for a public defender. Let me just verify. You get paid on a weekly basis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, you do not qualify. You've been charged with possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, 2 counts. I'll stay the bonds at $8,000 each, and I'm required that you have no contact with the co-defendant, Mr. Merriweather.
Yes, ma'am.
Please tell me your name.
Been a glass.
All right, Ms. Glass, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is the first count a PBL?
Yes, Judge. Just
Okay.
would be asking that it remain at no bond pending an Arthur hearing.
All right, ma'am, you've been charged with carjacking with a firearm and grand theft 3rd degree. On count 1, there's no bond. And on count 2, I'll stay the bond at $2,500. And I'm going to revoke the bond in 2022 CF 10055 AO. And I'll set the bond in the amount of $6,000. And I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the co-defendant, Michael Roberts.
Your Honor, but also asks for no contact with the victim.
And no contact with the victim. Yeah, on count 1, you get no bond, ma'am. Please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name. Please tell me your name.
My name is Ronald Gonzalez.
Mr. Gonzalez, did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender? Or are you going to hire a private attorney? Mr. Gonzalez, did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender, or are you going to get a private attorney?
I don't have money for a private.
Okay, let's see if you qualify for a public defender. Will you please raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you need a Spanish interpreter?
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Laura Bretaña, certified Spanish interpreter, previously sworn.
All right, the defendant has on the headset. If you can make contact, please.
Sí, ahora sí.
There is contact, Your Honor.
All right, sir, please state your name.
Mi nombre es Ronald Harvey González Vivas.
Ronald Harvey González Vivas.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear affirm testimony you give today be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Lo juro.
I do.
All right, sir, you may put your hand down. Thank you. Sir, do you have any dependents?
No.
No.
Do you have any income?
Hace 2 semanas que terminó mi trabajo.
I stopped working 2 weeks ago.
All right, based on having no income, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with burglary of a dwelling and criminal mischief. I find probable cause. I'm gonna stay the bonds, count 1, 5,000, count 2, 1,000, and I'm gonna require that you not return to 4617 South Kirkman Road. or have any contact with the apartment owner? And the witness? All right, sir, please follow the officer out the blue door. All right, thanks. I think that was it. Oh, you need the case number, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's 2022 CF 13356AO.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Anthony Hall bonded, Your Honor.
Thank you. May I please have your name, sir?
Henry Hall.
All right, Mr. Hall. And did you want to be represented by a public defender in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, will you please raise your right hand for me? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, thank you. You can put your hand down. Do you have any dependents?
No.
All right, sir, do you have any source of income?
No.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of meth and destruction of evidence. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds. 1,000 count one, $150 count two. All right, sir, please state your name. All right, Mr. Hester, you've been charged with, let me see. You do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And again, the same PC challenge as the co-defendant. So I'll stay the bonds. If the defendant does not make bond, then we'll have it tomorrow on the PC challenge on count one. And I'll require no contact with the co-defendant. And I'm not going to take any action on 2022 CF 10773AO. I see that the arrest was on September 21st and it hasn't been filed on yet, so I'm not going to take any action on that case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Eric Hicks bonded.
Thank you. Please state your name. All right, Mr. Hunter, you qualify for possession of fentanyl. I'll stay the bonds. And then we have 2022 CF 13308AO, which was by a warrant, so probable cause was previously found. That's trafficking in cocaine, conspiracy to introduce contraband into a county detention facility, and possession of cocaine. I'll stay the bonds. And then the final case is 2022 CF 13358AO, possession of cocaine. And I'll stay the bond at 1,000. And then in the out on bond case, I know that it hasn't been filed on yet, but given the similarity of the charges, I am going to revoke that bond, but set it at 2,000. And that's 2022 CF 12142AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All the funds saved in all account.
Yeah, and the other one was revoked and set at 2.
It's already a warrant.
Come on, sir. Warner Joanne Jean is mental health.
All right, and so she already has the PD appointed in the failure to appear case. So I'll appoint her in the new law case as well. And I'll stay the bonds, 2,000 on the FTA, 1,000 on the criminal mischief. And I'll require that she not return to 7130 South Orange Blossom Trail and no contact with the victim.
Thank you, and I will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Jim Johnson bonded.
All right. Please tell me your name.
David Nipshield.
All right, Mr. Nipshield, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cocaine, alcoholic beverages, open containers, and providing false ID to law enforcement. I'll stay the bonds.
No, I don't plead felonies.
I got problem.
I know what you're saying, but they're not felonies here. You don't have to worry about it.
Please step forward and state your name. All right, sir, you've been charged with, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with larceny, other theft, and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. I'll stay the bonds and require no return to the 91 West Main Street in Apopka, the Tienda, Guatemala.
Yes, ma'am, but you understood? I need a little read, paper.
All right, ask Miss George, she's representing you, so that, do you require a sign language interpreter? You qualify for a public defender, I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with 2 counts of possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon. I'll stay the bonds, and I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the co-defendant, Mr. Fulmore. Please state your name.
Daniel Moore.
Mr. Moore, did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
No, ma'am.
No? Are you gonna get your own private counsel?
Am I gonna get my own what?
Are you gonna get a private attorney, or are you gonna try to represent yourself?
No, I'm gonna get, probably represent myself, since I can't get my own private attorney.
All right, sir, if you can't afford an attorney, the court will appoint the public defender to represent you at no charge. It's important that you have, counsel in these cases. You've been charged with a serious offense, and a lawyer is trained in the law and can provide you guidance and explain to you what's happening while it's happening. Are you sure you don't want to see if you qualify, just to have that resource?
Wait, what did you say again? Repeat that for me, please. I
all
can't
right.
really hear you. Yeah, you were yelling too loud. I couldn't really hear the last part. What'd you say?
I'm encouraging you to see if you qualify for a public defender. It's important to be represented by an attorney. You've been charged with a serious offense, and so an attorney is trained in the law.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
It was just a little bit Molly.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I have my hands down. I just can't stay. What for me?
All right, sir. Well, I'm gonna stay the bond in the amount of $1,000, and then, at the court who's assigned to you will do a further inquiry to make sure that you're able to represent yourself.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir. Follow the officer out the blue door.
Okay, thank you.
You as well. All right. No. All right, please state your name.
Joseph Morris.
All right, Mr. Morris. All right, you do qualify for public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll stay the bonds, and I'll require that you have no contact with the co-defendant, Mr. Nipshield. And, I am going to revoke the bond in 2022 CF 6317 AO. I'll set bond in the amount of $2,000, or revoke the ROR, and I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. He does already have the PD appointed in that case, and he has a pretrial conference on January 18th.
We're picking up the new law.
Your Honor, Sarah Mooney bonded.
Please tell me your name.
My name's Lam Nguyen.
All right, Mr. Nguyen, I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you.
Yes, public defender.
Did you,
Based on the,
yeah.
sorry, based on the, facts outlined in the, arrest affidavit, Your Honor, it's just, again, a blanket statement, made by the police officer.
Right.
I would argue no PC.
You would ask for a 24-hour reset.
I'll reset it 24 hours for PC. And I'll stay the bonding in the event he can bond out, but otherwise we'll bring, I don't find, yeah, so we'll need the 24 hours.
Your Honor, O'Connor, she bonded as well.
Okay. Please tell me your name.
Hassan Rashdan.
All right, sir, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with robbery, sudden snatching, and resisting an officer without violence. I'll stay the bonds. I'm gonna revoke the bonds in 2022 CF 6471AO, and I'll set new bonds as follows. Count 1, battery on a Leo, 1,000. Count 2, battery on a Leo, 5,000. Count 3, resisting an officer without violence, 1,000. Count 4, criminal mischief, 200.
What is it?
1,000, 5,000, 1,200, yes.
Your Honor, state would ask for no contact with the victim in the new law.
Yes, and I'll require no contact with the victim in the new law violation. And he does have a trial set on those Bat Leos on November 28th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please step forward and tell me your name.
Daria Roberts.
All right, Ms. Roberts, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with larceny, coordinated, other retail theft over 3,000, larceny using anti-shoplifting device, larceny, anti-shoplifting device, dealing in stolen property, resisting an officer without violence, and destruction of evidence. I'm going to change the bonds as follow. Count 1, 5,000, and $150 on each of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining counts. I'm gonna require that you not return to the Orlando Premium Outlets on 4951 International Drive, and that you have no contact with the co-defendant, Jeramacia Brantley. Please tell me your name.
Bobby Lee Story.
All right, Mr. Story, you do qualify for a public defender. I'm gonna appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with second-degree murder with a firearm. That's punishable by life, so there's no bond.
Your Honor, just for the record, state has filed a information.
Thank you.
The state would just ask for no contact with the victim's family.
Yes, and no contact with the victim's family. Please follow the officer through the blue door. Please step forward and tell me your name.
Justin Tavares.
All right, Mr. Tavares, you do qualify for a public defender. I'm gonna appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cannabis with intent to sell, deliver, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I find probable cause, and I'll stay the bonds.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't have, what was the bond amount? I don't have it.
Okay, on count 1, it's $2,500. On count 2, it's $500.
Thank you.
And I'm missing Aguilera Fuentes.
That was the one, the traffic that was moved up to Spanish.
Oh. All right, is there anything else that we need to address?
I believe someone said he bonded earlier, the Creole interpreter, Safront.
Yes, they said
Said
he
he bonded?
bonded.
Okay.
All right, thank you all. We're off the record.
Warren Barber.
All right, Mr. Barber, you're here on a violation of probation affidavit, and the judge assigned to your case has set it at no bond, so I'll state it at no bond. You're set for an in-jail arraignment on the violation of probation on December 1st, 2022. Did you want to be represented by the Office of the Public Defender in the VOP proceeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you complete an affidavit?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in the VOP.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. please state your name. All right, Mr. Davis, so, we set your case yesterday and we brought it back. And, because frankly, none of us had seen the warrant that you were here on before. So I contacted the judge who is presiding over your case, and she indicated that I should stay the bond at none, and you'll be transported tomorrow. You have a hearing in front of Judge Wilson tomorrow, so you'll be transported for that hearing for further instructions by the judge assigned to the case. All right, please follow the officer out the door. All right, and we had an offer, right, but we can't, you want to try him this afternoon so we can get him out of here, or?
That's what I was trying to do, Your Honor, I don't know.
If we can't do it tomorrow, this afternoon, we can do it tomorrow morning, but let's,
That will work, because that doesn't make sense for me.
yeah, if we can get him up here. Maybe if your office, somebody could talk to him and say, if you can just come, if you can make it in, we can get your case resolved. All right, please step forward and state your name.
Jomaris Figueroa.
And so this is domestic violence. Do we know if there's any witnesses? All right, well, we're waiting to find out if we have any witnesses. Ms. Figueroa, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated battery, domestic violence.
They're coming in.
All right, do we have any witness in the Yomaris Figueroa case?
He's here, apparently, Your Honor.
Please come into the booth.
He needs Spanish? Yeah. She's telling me he needs Spanish, Your Honor.
Sir, do you require a Spanish interpreter?
Sí, español.
Okay, just one moment.
Good morning, this is Presno Leon, certified Spanish interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
All right, Mr. Leon, I have a witness in the booth, so you'll have to use the loudspeaker. If you can please ask him, his right hand is in a sling, so just raise it to the best of your ability to be sworn in, sir.
Very well, Your Honor. Por favor, en la mejor manera que pueda, levante su mano derecha para prestar juramento.
Oh.
Just raise your hand like that, yeah.
Levante su mano derecha de esa manera, señor, como pueda.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you should give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Jura y afirma que el testimonio que dará será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Sí.
You can put your hand
Yes.
down now.
State your name.
Puede bajar su mano, señor. Diga su nombre para que quede reflejado en el acta.
Jeremy Morales de la Isla.
Jeremy Morales de la Is.
All right, Mr. State, you may inquire, Mr. De La Is.
La fiscalía puede cuestionar al señor de la Is.
Good morning, sir. Can you please state your relationship to Ms. Figueroa?
Buenos días, señor. ¿Puede decir qué relación tiene usted con la señorita Figueroa?
Tenía una relación de noviazgo, pero ya no.
We were boyfriend and girlfriend, but not anymore.
Are you afraid of her?
¿Usted le teme a ella?
Sí.
Yes.
Has anything like this or anything physical ever happened between you two before?
¿Algo como esto o algún otro incidente físico ha ocurrido anteriormente a esto?
Sí.
Yes.
Approximately how long ago was the last time?
Aproximadamente, ¿cuándo fue la última vez que sucedió antes de este incidente?
Es que han sido varios.
It's just that it's been several occasions.
And do you want to have contact with her while this case is pending?
¿Y usted desea tener contacto con ella mientras que este caso está pendiente?
No.
No.
State has no further questions, Your Honor.
La fiscalía no tiene más preguntas.
All right, Ms. Figueroa, I have reviewed the arrest affidavit, and I do find probable cause.
And Your Honor, oh, I'm sorry.
Señorita Figueroa, yo he revisado el documento acusatorio y determino de que hay suficiente indicio razonable.
There is one prior BAT DV from August of 2021 with Ms. Figueroa as the defendant and Mr. Morales Delays as the victim.
A su señoría, allá hay un caso anterior de violencia doméstica, anterior de 2021, en relación con el señor Morales y la señorita Figueroa.
All right, Ms. Figueroa, I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim.
Señora Figueroa, le ordeno que no tenga contacto con la víctima del señor Morales.
I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence.
Le ordeno que mantenga una residencia separada de él.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. This one's a little weird only because if she's the defendant in the DV case, they have the no contact against him. So that's why I'm confused. If you look on the phase sheet, it says current victim on a no contact order.
Su señoría, este caso es un poco extraño porque si ella es la acusada o ella es la que tiene o a quien le han ordenado es a él que no tenga contacto con ella, eso lo hace un poco extraño este caso.
Well, that doesn't really impact what I'm about to rule on, so.
Independientemente, eso no tiene ningún impacto con respecto al fallo que emitiré.
I was just stating it for bond purposes, Your Honor, to take it into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Solamente quería comunicarlo para los propósitos de fijar fianza, porque puede tener un impacto en ello.
I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence.
Le ordeno que tenga una residencia separada de la víctima.
You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to obtain your personal belongings.
Puede regresar solamente una vez a la residencia acompañada de un agente de la ley para recoger sus pertenencias.
I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms.
Le ordeno que no tenga en su posesión ningún tipo de arma, ni de fuego, ni armas blancas.
If you have any weapons or firearms, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Si usted es propietaria de cualquier tipo de arma, le ordeno que las entregue al departamento del alguacil dentro de un periodo de 24 horas después de ser liberada.
I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,500.
Fijaré fianza en la cantidad de $1,500.
State, is there anything else we need to address?
¿Algo más que quiera decir la fiscalía?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Delays, thank you for coming in to testify this morning. You may be excused. Oh, did you want to say something else, sir?
Señor de la IS, gracias por venir y testificar esta mañana. Perdón, señor, ¿usted quiere decir algo más?
Sí, ella tiene unas llaves del apartamento donde yo estoy viviendo con mi hermana y mi sobrino. Quisiera que me las entregara.
Yes, she has keys to the apartment where I'm living with my sister and my nephew, and I would like her to give those keys back to me.
All right, when she returns with law enforcement officers to retrieve her personal belongings, you can ask for the keys at that time.
Ok, señor, cuando ella regrese a la propiedad para recoger sus pertenencias acompañada por un agente de la ley, usted en ese momento puede pedirle que ella le devuelva las llaves.
Yes, sir.
Y también quisiera una orden de alejamiento. O sea, una orden de alejamiento y que no se me acerque a mí y a mis sobrinos que están viviendo conmigo. ¿Cómo se puede hacer eso?
I also would like to have a restraining order against her, against her related to me and my nephew, and I wonder how that can be imposed.
All right, the state is going to give you a card, and you can contact somebody with the state attorney's office. That's outside the scope of what the court can do this morning.
La fiscalía le va a dar una tarjeta de contacto a usted. Usted se puede poner en contacto con las oficinas del fiscal para que ellos le instruyan más sobre eso, porque eso está fuera de lo que este juzgado puede hacer esta mañana.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Thank you again, sir.
Okay, thank
The
you very
state will give you
much.
that card.
Gracias a usted, señor. La fiscalía le va a entregar ahora esa tarjeta de contacto.
Mr. Leon, can you ask over the speaker if any other witness requires the services of an interpreter?
Yes, of course, Your Honor. Alguien más que necesite los servicios del intérprete en español, por favor, póngase de pie.
All right, nobody's indicated. Thank you. That's all we need this morning.
Your Honor, before I go, may I have the case number?
22 CF 13302.
22 CF 13302. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
You as well. Thank you. All right, sir, please state your name.
John Harvey.
All right, Mr. Harvey. So let me see here. You do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in the case and in both of the cases. So we've got two cases. It looks like in one case you've been charged with burglary of an occupied dwelling, aggravated stalking after an injunction, and petty theft. And then in the other case, you've been charged with violation of a domestic injunction and battery. And I don't have any witnesses here on these cases. All right, so, let's see, in 2022 CF 11767, set bond in the amount of $5,000 on count one, the burglary of occupied dwelling, $1,000 on count two, aggravated stalking, and $100 on the petty theft charge. On the other case, the 2022 MM 4985, on the violation of a domestic injunction, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. And on the battery domestic violence, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $100. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim, that you maintain a separate residence, that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. In case number 2020 CF 2276AO, I'm going to revoke the bond. I'm going to set the bond at $5,000 on the battery count and $300 on the resisting without violence.
Your Honor, state would also ask for a no return on both of the new laws. He wasn't living there.
Yes, I'm going to require that you not return to the,
I think she's going on the conditions still. She's looking for that.
yeah, please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and tell me your name.
Carol.
All right, Mr. Carroll. You qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence by warrant, so probable cause was previously found. We don't have any witness here. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim. I know it's an ex-girlfriend, but I'm gonna require that you maintain a separate residence. If you did share one, you may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $1,500. Please step forward and state your name.
Reese Gunther.
Mr. Gunther, you qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence, and there's nobody here to testify on the case. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. I'm going to require that you not consume alcohol or prescription drugs or other drugs that aren't prescribed to you. And you do qualify for PTR. State, do you have any objection to PTR?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, so you have the ability to be released by participating in the PTR program. That's pretrial release. It's run by the Orange County Corrections Department, where you have to report in person on a regular basis and otherwise comply with their requirements. Would you like to participate in the PTR program, or do you want a monetary bond?
PTR.
All right, I'll release you under PTR, and you'll get further information about the program. Will you ask Ms. George first? No weapons or firearms. Surrender in 24 hours.
Your Honor, you did a maintain separate residence, correct?
I did. You can return one time in the presence, I know they're married, you can return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve his personal belongings.
She no longer, apparently she's moved out, so when he goes back with law enforcement, as long as she's not living there, can he stay?
Yes. Yeah. All right, please state your name, sir.
Pablo Isaac.
All right, Mr. Isaac, you qualify for a public defender. I'm going to appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. It looks like we don't have anybody here on your case. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I do see that alcohol was involved and children were present. So if DCF was contacted, you must comply with any requirements that the Department of Children and Family Services imposes upon you. I'm going to require that you not consume, oh, is that somebody here on the case? No, oh, okay, I thought she was coming up.
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to require that you not consume alcohol or take any drugs that aren't prescribed to you by a doctor. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And you do qualify for a PTR. State, do you have any objection to PTR?
No, Judge.
All right, sir, so you qualify for release under the pretrial release program. Again, that's run by the Orange County Department of Corrections, where you have to report in person on a regular basis and otherwise comply with the requirements. Do you want to participate in the PTR program for release today?
Yes.
All right, I'll release you under PTR, and you'll get additional information about that program that you must comply with. Please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name.
Juan Mojica.
All right, Mr. Mojica, it says here that you do not qualify for a public defender. I just want to verify your income is every 2 weeks, is that correct? Okay, so you do not qualify. And ma'am, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you shall give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name for the record.
Evelyn Mojica.
Can you say it a little bit louder? I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear you. I know you're upset.
Evelyn Mojica.
All right, Ms. Mojica, the state attorney is gonna ask you some questions.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you please state your relationship to Juan Mojica?
His wife.
Are you afraid of him?
Yes.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Yes.
Approximately how long ago would you say the last time was?
Maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Do you believe drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident? No? And do you want to have contact with him while this case is pending?
In regards to, I need to get my things out, so I would just like to have at least 30 days to be able to find a mover and get all of my contacts, my belongings that do belong to me.
Say there's no further questions, Your Honor.
I do have another home, so I don't have a problem where after my belongings are out, that I will be residing at my own home.
Okay. Mr. Mojica qualifies for the PTR program. Again, that's a method where he can be released, and he has to report to the Orange County Corrections Department on a regular basis and otherwise comply with the terms of that release program. Would you have any objection to him being released under that program?
Yes.
All right, so, Mr. Mojica, you do qualify for PTR, and I don't know if you heard me tell the other person, would you like to participate in that program? Okay, so, rather than a monetary bond, I'll release you on PTR. I am going to, based on the testimony of Ms. Mojica, I'm going to require that you maintain separate residences. So at this time, you can return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement belongings. And of course, once Ms. Mojica vacates the property, you can return there. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. You may, if you have any weapons or firearms, you need to turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. State, are there any additional requirements?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, Mr. Mojica, please follow the officer out the blue door. Thank you for coming in, Ms. Mojica. Oh, did you have, wait a second, did you have a question?
So what about a restraining order after the fact? I have to go through that process?
Yes, the state will give you a card and, so to help you with that.
So we cannot do it today. We can't do it here. You have to go downtown to the downtown courthouse, and they can help you with it there. Or I'll give you a card with the case number on it and the state attorney's phone number in case you have any other questions, but you must do it downtown.
So with you can only go one time to the house in 30 days, or?
Mr. Mojica can return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve his personal belongings. I've ordered that he maintain a separate residence.
For good until I get all my belongings out. Thank you.
Until the judge assigned to the case, it's not, this is the initial, and then the judge who's assigned to the case may make additional or different findings.
Okay.
All right, thank you for coming in, Ms. Mojica.
Thank you.
Sharon Pace is medical.
All right. May I appoint the public defender provisionally?
Yes, Your Honor, and I will leave.
All right, and she does qualify for PTR. State, would you have any objection to PTR?
No, Judge.
All right, and so it would be, I would release her PTR, no contact, separate residence, return one time with law enforcement to retrieve personal belongings, no weapons or firearms, surrender within 24 hours. All right, please step forward and state your name.
David St. Fort.
Do we have anybody here? And Mr. St. Fort, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Doesn't look like we have anybody here. You've been charged with battery, dating violence, and resisting an officer without violence. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. With respect to the battery, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,500. the resisting without violence, $100. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim. This did occur in a hotel room, so I don't know if they reside together, but I'm gonna require that they maintain separate residences.
Oh, she's here.
Are you here on this case, ma'am? All right, will you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony shall give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name for the record.
Naima Brookins.
All right, ma'am, the state attorney's gonna ask you some questions.
Good morning, Ms. Brookins. Can you please state your relationship to Mr. St. Fort?
My boyfriend.
Are you afraid of him?
No.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
No.
If anything like this or anything more severe ever occurred in the future, would you feel comfortable calling 911?
Yes, I will.
Do you believe drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident?
No, we were drinking.
And do you want to have contact with him while this case is pending?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, when you answered the question, you hesitated. Are you certain that you want to have contact with the defendant while the case is pending? Because you can, if you say that you don't want to have contact, I'm going to order that he have no contact with you. You were very hesitant when you answered the question from the state attorney, so I just want to ensure that what your feelings are.
That's fine. I have his belongings, and this is the first time something like this has happened, so I'm not in fear of my life.
All right, and so, but if anything like this ever does happen again, you won't have any hesitation calling 911?
That's correct.
All right, based on the testimony of the witness, I'm going to require that you have no hostile contact with the victim. I am going to order that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And again, the bond amounts were $1,500 on count 1 and $100 on count 2. Thank you. Thank you for coming in, ma'am. Please state your name. Say it a little bit louder. I didn't quite hear you. All right, Ms. Wood, you do qualify for a public defender. I'm going to appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence, and we don't have anybody here on the case. I'm going to order that you have no contact with the victim, that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. The arrest affidavit indicated that alcohol was involved, so I'm going to require that you not consume alcohol or take any drugs or medication that are not prescribed to you by a physician. You do qualify for pretrial release. State, do you have any objection?
No, Your Honor. However, DCF was also called.
Okay, and so, ma'am, I'm also going to require that you comply with any requirements that DCF might impose the Department of Children and Family Services. You do qualify for release today under the pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Department of Corrections, where you have to report in person on a regular basis and otherwise comply with the requirements of the program. You want to participate in that program? All right, I'm going to release you today under the PTR program, and you'll get additional information about that. Please follow the officer out the blue door. All right, so Mr. Andrews is on an out-of-county warrant, Marion County, and the judge put the bond at none, so I'll stay that.
Edwin Awanda is also medical.
And that's a Volusia County warrant, and the bond is set at $323, so I'll stay that.
She did not appear. The case Sherry
right, if he can please come forward. All right, sir, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony shall give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name for the record.
Jason Pace.
All right, state you may inquire.
Good morning, Mr. Pace. Can you please state your relationship to Miss Pace?
My wife. I'm her husband.
Are you afraid of her?
No, ma'am.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
No, ma'am.
If anything like this or anything more severe ever occurred in the future, would you feel comfortable calling 911?
Sure.
Do you believe drugs or alcohol were involved in this
No, ma'am.
incident? I'm sorry?
No, ma'am.
And do you want to have contact with her while this case is pending?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Can I make a statement?
1 second. She did qualify for the pretrial release program that we've been speaking about this morning. Is that okay with you?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
And sir, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I think last night, I'm sorry. Times are getting tough, and as times get tough, a marriage gets tough. And I think last night was just, I've been replaying in my head 100 times, and the more I think about it, I'm wondering if what happened really happened, And I know she knocked my phone out my hand, and I bent down to pick up my phone, and I'm trying to replay it. Did she kick me and hit me, or did I get up and hit her? I mean, not hit her, but that's how it happened. I felt like, I don't know, And she's not a bad person. She's a good person, a good wife. And I think last night just got blown out of proportion, and it just needed to be de-escalated, and I feel like it was escalated instead of de-escalated especially by the police department.
All right, sir. Well, the state attorney, the victim services of the state attorney will contact you, or they already have, and so that you can talk to them further about the case. But based on your testimony today, I'm going to adjust my requirements. I'll allow her to be released under the PTR program, and I'm going to require that she have no hostile contact with you. And I'm also going to require that she not possess any weapons or firearms. That was in my previous order. But I'm amending the no contact to no hostile contact.
So she can come home, right?
Yes, she's medical, right? Was it medical? So I don't know what's going on with her, but, she'll be processed today. I don't know exactly what time.
All right, and then I come get her today?
I don't know. It should be, right? It should be today. I don't know how long that takes, but, so I'm sure that, once she's cleared, she'll be able to call you.
Okay.
All right, thanks again for coming in. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just to clarify, you're striking the maintain separate residence and one-time return?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. All right, please step forward and state your name.
Joseph Francis.
All right, Mr. Francis, you're here on a warrant from Seminole County, and the judge in that case has set it at a bond in the amount of $500. Oh, no, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at Joseph Francis. Who are we on? Lynn?
Lynn bonded, Your Honor.
Lynn bonded. And who is this?
Francis.
My next one is Francis. I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
Francis.
Francis, but I don't have Francis's paperwork. What happened to Lionel Smith? All right, thank you. Okay, sorry about that, Mr. Francis. All right, so yes, so yours is actually an Orange County case. Judge Harris signed the violation of community control order, and she set the bond at none. I'll stay the bond, and you've been set for an in-jail arraignment in front of Judge Lattimore on December 1st. And did you want to be represented by the Office of the Public Defender in the violation of community control proceeding?
No, I have a private attorney.
You have a private attorney? Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Please step forward and state your name.
Jordan Harrison.
All right, Mr. Harrison, this is a violation of probation on view for a new law offense committed on November 15th, 2022. And I showed that you have a private attorney, or did you want to be represented by the Public Defender's Office on the VOP? You do qualify for a public defender.
Yeah.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you on the violation of probation. And it was on view, and he's scheduled for an in-jail arraignment on 12/1/22. So I don't know. We'll just leave it at none.
And he also has the HRSO detainer.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. You have to tell me what that is.
It's the high-risk sexual offender detainer.
Okay. I did for the VOP. All right, Mr. Johnson. All right, this is a warrant on the violation of probation, and the judge has set the bond at none. I'll stay the bond. And Mr. Johnson is scheduled for in-jail arraignment on 12/1/22. And I don't know if he had the PD below, but do you want me to provisionally appoint him for the VOP or just wait till his arraignment?
Provisionally appoint her.
All right, I'll provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent him on the VOP.
And I will waive.
Thank you. Please step forward and tell me your name.
Jameria Bennett.
All right, Miss Bennett. All right, so we've got a couple of warrants here. We've got a violation of probation warrant, and the judge in that case set bond in the amount of none. In 2022 MM 2761 AO, and in 2022 CT 5399 AO, the judge issued a capias for your failure to appear and set bond in the amount of $2,000. Now, and of course, the VOP is for the CT case that you failed to appear in. Do you, let's see here, you qualify for a public defender, so would you like the public defender to represent you in both of those cases?
Yes.
All right, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in the VOP and the MM case, and also in the CT case. And I'll stay the bonds. All right, so that is, does anybody have anything else? We got 33-day motions. Okay, State of Florida versus Reading, 22 CF 11510 AO.
Granted, it was no build.
State of Florida versus Davis, 22 CF 11862 AO.
Denied and information was filed.
Florida versus Chang, 22 CF 11979 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
State of Florida versus Whitted, 22 CF 5359 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Barther, 22 CF 12038 AO.
Granted.
Florida versus Lindor, 22 CF 11014 AO.
Granted.
Florida versus Trammell, 22 CF 11692 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Hawk, 22 CF 12067 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Edie, 22 CF 12043 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Mitchell, 22 CF 11650 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Connor, 22 CF 11834 AO.
Granted, notice non-filing.
Florida versus Odom, 22 CF 11972 AO.
Granted, no build.
Florida versus Turner, 22 CF 10629AO.
Granted, notice not on filing.
Florida versus Long, 22 CF 11664AO.
Denied, and information was filed.
Florida versus Chisholm, 22 CF 12060AO.
Denied, and information was filed.
Florida versus Hamlock, 22 CF 111815AO.
Granted, notice not on filing.
All right, anything else? We're off the record.
Yes, Your Honor. ¿Alguien requiere los servicios del intérprete? Por favor, póngase de pie si alguien requiere los servicios del intérprete en español.
All right, nobody indicated. And did we have any more interpreter cases? All right, Mr. Leon, thank you.
Your Honor, before I go, may I have the case number for Pereira, the last case?
2022 MM 7693.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day, Your Honor.
You too, thank you. All right, sir, please state your name.
First name is Junior, last name is Prosper.
All right, Mr. Prosper, and the public defender was appointed yesterday. We reset your case to give the state the opportunity to make victim contact before a plea was entered. State?
I apologize, Your Honor. I'm having some technical difficulties. Is it possible we could just bypass him for 5 minutes while I try to work this out?
Sure.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know that I wanted to plead guilty. Give me some time, sir.
Okay, we'll bring you right back up, Mr. Prosper. All right, please state your name.
Daquan Felix.
All right, Mr. Felix, you're here for a warrant signed by a judge for a violation of probation. The judge has set the bond at none. I'll stay it. You're scheduled for an arraignment on the violation of probation on November 17th, 2022, in jail in front of Judge Lattimore. I show that you were represented by the Office of the Public Defender in the main case. Would you like the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in the violation of probation?
Yes.
And you do qualify, so I'll appoint the PD to represent you in the VOP proceedings.
You say I had court for the 17th?
It's an in-jail arraignment in front of Judge Lattimore on the VOP, because the judge who signed the warrants put the bond at none, and I'm continuing that.
All right.
All right, please follow the officer out the blue door. Sir, please step forward and tell me your name.
Joshua Joseph, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Joseph. For some reason, I don't have a note on yours. Oh, here we go. Sorry. All right, so Mr. Joseph, we were trying to get the affidavit. You indicated that you're not on probation and you don't know why you're arrested, right? Is that the right case?
I'm held against my rights right now. I'm not charged with anything. I'm just
Right. State, Ms. Eugene, did you have the opportunity to find the warrant out of the county?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I did not.
Okay, and we have notified, we notified the county to come pick him up, right?
Yes.
And how long it's been 72 hours, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so, Mr. Joseph, what I'll do is, because we have notified, and let me just look here, make sure I get the right county. All right, and so this is out of Polk County. So we've notified Polk County. They generally have 24 hours to pick you up and you haven't been picked up. So at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release you. You have no holds
Yes, ma'am.
for any Orange County cases. So I'm going to release you on your own recognizance.
Thank you.
Now, it's critical, sir. I know you said you don't know what's going on in Polk County. You're not on probation. It's critical that you report to Polk County and try to find out what's going on, because even though I'm releasing you today, there is still that active warrant and you could be picked up again
Yes, ma'am.
in Orange County. So I don't want you to have to go through this again.
Yes, ma'am.
So make sure that you report to Polk County and try to figure out what's going on. I don't know if you had an attorney who represented you in that case, or but try to figure out what's going on there, because you're just going to get picked up again and be right back here.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, sir. Thank you. Good luck to you.
Any time restraints, I just report to Polk County.
Upon release.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Please state your name.
Stephen Gordon.
All right, Mr. Gordon, does he qualify for PD? All right, Mr. Gordon, you qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery on a person 65 years of age or older. Is there anybody here on Mr. Gordon's case? All right, Mr. Gordon, state, do you have any, he qualifies for PTR. Do you have any reason why he shouldn't be on PTR?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gordon, you qualify for the pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections. You have to report on a regular basis in person to the program and just comply with their requirements. You can be released on that or on a monetary bond. Would you like to participate in the pretrial release program?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to release you on under the PTR program. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim. I understand that's your father.
Yes.
You cannot have any contact with him. I don't know, it wasn't clear in the arrest affidavit if you live together, but if you do, you have to maintain a separate residence. You can return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. If you do have weapons to turn in, make sure you leave them in the trunk of your car. Please do not walk into the sheriff's office with a weapon in your hand.
Okay.
All right, please follow the officer out the blue door.
This is for the defendant. He does not qualify.
All right, please step forward and state your name.
Adrian Jackson.
All right, Mr. Jackson, it looks like you do not qualify for a public defender. It shows that you get paid on a weekly basis. Was the correct box checked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I don't know that I even have a job anymore. I was trying to see if I could possibly some way get out of here because the sheriffs came onto my job and took me out of handcuffs. And I had my girlfriend trying to talk to them and see, how they felt about that. And she ultimately said that the most that they could do was not have my truck towed off of their property.
Okay, so you think you're now unemployed? That's what you're telling me?
Yes,
Okay. All right, if you have no income, then you would qualify for a public defender. So I'll appoint based on what you've just told the court now, I'll appoint the office of the public defender based on your changed financial circumstance that you just testified to the court. All right, you've been charged with burglary of an occupied dwelling with assault and battery, domestic violence, and criminal mischief. Is there anybody here on Mr. Jackson's case? All right, and so the judge who signed the warrant found probable cause and set bond in the amount of $1,000 on count 3. State, do you have any argument for a bond amount on counts 1 and 2?
Your Honor, with regard to count 1, that is a first-degree felony punishable by life.
Oh.
Statutorily, he could be held no bond. However, based on the allegations and also his criminal history, I have no objection to the court using its discretion to set bond for count 1. For count 2, no input, Your Honor. He is entitled to bond.
All right, defense?
Your Honor, I would agree. I would ask that based on his history, the lack of history, that you set a bond in this particular case.
All right, on count one, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $10,000. Count two, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. And count three, I'm gonna reduce the bond to $100. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim, that you not return to that, to the scene, to that apartment. I'm going to require that you, that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. The arrest affidavit indicates that alcohol was involved, so I'm going to require that you not consume alcohol or any non-prescription medication or drugs. State, any additional?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. All right, next, please step forward and state your name.
Robert Sullivan.
All right, Mr. Sullivan, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been charged with aggravated battery on a pregnant person, resisting an officer without violence, and criminal mischief. We don't have anybody here. State, I have a question on the charge in defense. I don't know if you do. So it doesn't state in the arrest affidavit that he knew she was pregnant, and she said she may be 4 weeks pregnant. Is that sufficient? Is knowledge element of that offense? No?
No, Your Honor, if there is a PC challenge, I would have no objection. I would, however, ask that you find PC for just simple domestic violence, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, I would argue that in order to have an aggravated battery on a pregnant person, there must be knowledge. So I'd ask that you find no PC as to the aggravated battery on a pregnant person based on what was just stated, Your Honor. Based on the statute, there has to be knowledge.
There does have to be knowledge. All right, and there may be, it just doesn't say it in the arrest affidavit. I don't know. And it wasn't even clear if she even verified that she was pregnant.
No objection, Your Honor. So if you will find probable cause for the simple domestic violence battery, that statute number is 784.03.
Okay, I would find probable cause on the simple domestic violence battery under 784.03. And so on that count, I will set bond in the amount of $2,500. And on counts 2 and 3, I'll set bond in the amount of $100. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim, that you maintain a separate residence. If you have a shared residence, you may return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Sir, please, if you're turning in weapons or firearms, leave them in the trunk of your car. Don't walk into the sheriff's station with them. I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. Does the next one qualify?
Saying that you can't have contact with her right now. That's fine. You can't have contact with her.
Please step forward and state your name.
Alicia Weaver.
All right, Ms. Weaver, you qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery by strangulation, domestic violence, and battery. I do find probable cause. We don't have anybody here. So the victim is 14 years old, and I saw that DCF was called, but does the father of the child reside with her still?
Yes, ma'am.
She's in someone's care? Okay. All right, since nobody's here, I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the alleged victim and that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. The arrest affidavit indicates that alcohol was involved, so I'm gonna order that you not consume any alcohol or non-prescription medications or drugs. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor?
Yes.
As DCF was contacted, if a condition could be that she comply with any DCF plan?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So if the Department of Children and Family Services orders you to do anything, I'm requiring that you comply with that.
Yes, ma'am.
I never write it down. I didn't hear you, so I don't know. I think I said $2,500 and one.
Oh, yes.
Did I say a bond amount?
No.
All right, on count one, $2,500, count two, 100. All right, sir, please step forward and state your name.
Jason Wyatt.
All right, sir, we don't have any form. Did you want the Office of the Public Defender to represent you or see if you qualify for a public defender, or are you gonna get private counsel?
I was hoping to bail out this morning.
Okay, but you can still be represented by counsel, even if you, when I set a bond amount, even if you bail out, there's an ongoing case. So do you wanna see if you qualify for a public defender, or do you wanna get your own counsel?
I'll have my own counsel.
Okay, all right, sir, you've been charged with battery and false imprisonment, and it doesn't look like there's anybody here on the case. So, this was by a warrant signed by a judge, so probable cause was previously found. As to count one, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500, and count two, I'll reduce the bond to $100. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's a felony. Was it $150 for the second on a felony?
Yes, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
$150. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim. I see it's an ex-fiance, so I don't believe you have a joint residence, but if you do reside together, I'm gonna require that you maintain a separate residence. If you have anything at that house, you may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. If you are turning in weapons, make sure you leave them in the trunk of your car and just let the deputies inside know that you're turning it in pursuant to a court order. All right, please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name.
Melissa Baker.
All right, Ms. Baker, you do qualify for the appointment of a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Do we have anybody here on Ms. Baker's case? All right, ma'am, I have reviewed the arrest affidavit, and I do find probable cause. And I see that you reside together with your daughter, lives in the house, but I'm gonna require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you do have any, that you turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. The defendant does qualify for PTR. Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you do qualify for a pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections Office, where you have to report in person on a regular basis and comply with other requirements of the program. You can participate in that for your release, or I can set a monetary bond. Do you have a preference?
How long is the PTR for until? Oh, okay. Yes, can I just ask one quick question, please?
Ask Miss Jordan.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Was one of the conditions no contact with the victim?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you can have a further conference later. Do you want PTR or a monetary bond?
Your Honor, Your Honor, I was trying to explain it. Could you please advise the client about not being able to go back home because the victim's there? You only have control over her, not the victim.
Right, ma'am. So, the victim didn't show up today to testify. So because the victim's not here, I have to order that you have no contact with her, and I have to order that you maintain a separate residence. You can only go back to that residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers. So this case, it'll move along. The judge who's assigned to your case can modify these conditions. This is what I'm required to do at this very limited proceeding because I have imperfect information, right? I have only the arrest affidavit. We're not here to determine the case. I'm not getting into the facts. Solely today, it's what are the conditions of your release? Did I find probable cause for the arrest? And what are the conditions of your release? That's all I can do in this limited proceeding. The judge who will be assigned to your case can take the time to develop the facts and make adjustments to it.
Thank you.
All right, please, so we'll do you on PTR. All right, please state your name, sir.
Anthony Boston.
All right, it looks like, Mr. Boston, according to your affidavit, you do not qualify for a public defender. It says that you get paid on a weekly basis. Is that correct? Was the correct box checked?
Yes, it's self-employed.
Okay, all right, so you do not qualify. Ma'am, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, to help you God?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Wanda Boston.
All right, Ms. Eugene, you may inquire, Ms. Boston.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
How do you know the defendant?
He's my husband.
Do you live together?
We do.
While this case is pending, would you like to have contact with him?
Yes.
Would you like to continue living together?
Yes.
Has something like this happened before?
No.
Were drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, and ma'am, Mr. Boston does qualify for pretrial release. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections Department where he has to report in person on a regular basis and comply with other requirements. Would you have any objection to him participating in the pretrial release program?
No.
All right, so Mr. Boston, you do qualify for a pretrial release. Would you like to participate in that, or do you want a monetary bond?
Pre-trial.
Okay, I'll release you under the pretrial release program, and in accordance with the testimony that was just given, I'll allow you, I'm gonna require that you have no hostile contact with your wife. So that means you can continue to reside together and you can live together. It just can't be hostile contact during the pendency of the case. All right, thank you. Please follow the officer out the door.
Next defendant.
All right, please state your name.
Aisha Garvin.
Ms. Garvin, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. And Ms. Boston, I'm sorry, I failed to thank you for coming in. I appreciate you coming in today. All right, is there anybody here on Ms. Garvin's case? All right, Ms. Garvin, you do qualify for PTR state. Is there any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, so you qualify for the pretrial release program. This is as an alternative to a monetary bond. You can be released under the pretrial release program where you have to report to PTR on a regular basis in person and comply with their requirements. All right, so I'm going to require that you have no contact with the two victims in the case. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Ask Ms. Jordan first.
There's
Oh, is there somebody on this case? Ma'am, are you here on Ms. Garvin's case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the record.
Fatima Gordon.
All right, Gordon, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Eugene, you may inquire, Ms. Gordon.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How do you know the defendant?
That's my daughter.
Do you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
While this case is pending, would you like to have contact with her?
No, ma'am.
So that also means you do not want her to return to the home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Has something like this happened before?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the last time, other than this last incident, the time before that?
2 weeks ago. She was cussing me out verbally. She tried to hit me, but my son stopped her. So it's just an ongoing thing that's been going on since she was 16. And I'm just fed up and tired.
Okay. Do you know if drugs or alcohol were involved in
No,
it?
ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gordon, thank you for coming in today and testifying. All right, so all the conditions that I previously stated will apply based on the testimony. All right, please step forward and state your name.
Rosara Heath.
All right, Ms. Heath, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. It doesn't look like anybody's here on the case. You do qualify for pretrial release date. Would you have any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, so you qualify for a release under the pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections Department where you have to report in person on a regular basis and otherwise comply with their requirements. You can do that or a monetary bond. Do you prefer PTR?
Yes.
All right, so I'll release you on PTR. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim. I understand that's your husband, but you can't have any contact with them. You have to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Importantly, when you turn in your weapons, make sure you leave them in the trunk of your car and just let the deputies inside know and they'll come out and retrieve them. Please follow the deputy out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name.
Cheryl Henderson.
All right, Ms. Henderson, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And you do qualify for the pretrial release program. State, is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
And so I see this was a mother-daughter, but the arrest affidavit doesn't have the age of the daughter. I don't know if she's a minor. It says DCF was notified, but I don't know.
That is correct, Your Honor. I don't have that.
You don't have it either? Okay. Ma'am, I'm gonna require that you have, because there's no victim here, I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm gonna require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you comply with any requirements of DCF if there are any. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And you'll be given additional information about the PTR program.
In Your Honor, she resides in New York. Are you granting her permission to return?
How, it says that so if she doesn't live here, how can she be in PTR?
She can be in PTR. It's just she'll do it by telephone, and before she leaves, she may have to do an office visit.
I thought it had to be in person for domestic violence. Yeah. That's what I was told yesterday, that they have to report in person if it's domestic violence.
Yes, they do with DVs, but sometimes like after they do the initial appearance, visit with the officer, they may be able to discuss that, but normally it is.
All right, ma'am, so are you planning on staying in Florida, or are you planning on going back to New York?
I'm going back to New York after I get my 2 younger children.
Okay, so it could become an issue on whether or not you can still participate in pretrial release if you're in New York, because you may have to appear in person. So what I'll do is we'll state on there that I have no objection to telephonic reporting. I don't know if PTR would approve that or not, given the charge. So if you're unable to participate in pretrial release, then I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500. But you can try PTR first, and if that doesn't work, then you'll have to post a monetary bond.
We haven't had an issue with
Did he qualify for a PD? All right, I'll provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender, and, we waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then he doesn't qualify for PTR, so I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500, no contact, separate residence, no weapons, firearms, surrender in 24 hours.
Your Honor, he does not reside here. Can he be allowed to return home?
Well, yeah, he lives in the United Kingdom, and this did happen in a hotel, so, I mean, yeah, I'm not taking his passport or anything, but might become an issue if he fails to appear. Just tell him to make sure he stays in contact with the public defender's office so his appearance can be waived if necessary.
Thank you.
Did you order a one-time return?
They were in a hotel. The happiest place on earth frequently leads to unhappiness. Please state your name.
Cheyenne Richards.
Does she qualify?
Yes, Judge.
All right, ma'am, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Sir, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Carlton Lopez.
All right, Ms. Eugene, you may inquire of Mr. Lopez.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How do you know the defendant?
It's my girlfriend.
Do you live together?
Yes, we do.
While this case is pending, do you want to have contact with her?
Yes, I do.
You want to continue living together?
Yes, I do.
Has something like this happened before?
No, ma'am.
Were drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
No, ma'am.
Thank you for coming in. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lopez, Ms. Richards does qualify for release under the pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections Department, where she has to report in person on a regular basis. Would you have any objection to her participating in that program as a condition of her release?
She does work. I would be open to posting bond.
You prefer a bond because of work?
Yes, yeah, I would post a bond.
Okay, all right. Ms. Richards, would you like to participate in the pretrial release program, or would you prefer a monetary bond? Because you do have to report in person on a regular basis.
I would like whatever's going to get me out of here sooner. I have to be at work.
It's the same.
Okay.
It's 6 one way, half dozen the other.
All right, so bond.
All right, I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500. I'm going to require that you have no hostile contact with the victim. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name.
Christian Paul Roy.
Did not fill out a PD form, Judge.
All right, sir, you did not fill out the public defender form. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender, or are you going to get private counsel?
This is my first time, I mean.
Okay, well, it's always advisable to be represented by an attorney. Attorneys are trained in the law, and they understand the proceedings, and they can explain it to you. So you have the right to represent yourself. It's just advisable to be represented by counsel because of their training and knowledge, and that they can explain, especially this is your first experience, as you indicated. So it would probably be in your best interest to have counsel.
Okay.
All right, sir, if you please raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is truth?
Sure.
All right, you may put your hand out. Do you have any dependents?
I have, no, I don't.
Okay, and do you have any income?
Yes.
What's your net income and the frequency?
My social security is 2,300 a month.
A month? Okay, I'll find that you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Ma'am, if you'll please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Do.
Please state your name for the record.
Mary Fontaine.
All right, Ms. Fontaine. Ms. Eugene, you may inquire.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How do you know the defendant?
He's my boyfriend. We've been together for 5 years.
Do you live together?
Yes, we reside together.
While this case is pending, do you want to have contact with him?
Yes.
You'd like to continue living with him?
Sure, yeah.
Has something like this happened before?
Yes.
Can you tell me before this last incident, the last time that it happened?
Couple of months ago.
Okay. Were drugs or alcohol involved in either?
No,
incident?
they were not.
Okay. Thank you for coming in. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Fontaine, you indicated that there was a prior incident not that long ago, but you're telling me you're not in fear of Mr. Roy?
No, he's pretty much a passive man. I think at times I agitate him a bit. And it just gets to him. But I think he needs some, we both need anger management classes. We really do.
Well, I'm gonna encourage you to do that, to participate in that. Now, Mr. Roy, you do qualify for the pretrial release program. That's a program that's run by the Orange County Corrections Department, where you have to report in person on a regular basis and otherwise comply with their requirements. You can do that or post a monetary bond. Ms. Fontaine, would you have any objection to him participating in the PTR program?
In Orange County, yes, because we reside in Miami.
Oh, okay.
And that would mean we'd have to come up here.
Yeah.
It's not, I think something in Miami would benefit him better, or both of us together going to anger management, couples counseling. And I would like to also see him get some help with, alcohol was not involved, but he does drink beer all the time, and he gets sassy when he drinks beer or wine. So I think he needs some possibly AA, possibly, or some kind of program for the alcohol.
Okay,
and
that's,
also for
that's,
some
I
anger
appreciate you
management.
telling me all that. That's a little bit beyond the scope of what I can do today at IA.
Okay.
The judge who is assigned to the case can order Mr. Roy to do additional things. And we don't have any jurisdiction over you, but I encourage you both to participate in counseling and, because it sounds like there might be some ongoing issues. But, so I'm going to
Can I
set bond.
interject and say something? He went through a divorce about 6 years ago where the wife was having an affair and ran out with him. He was served with divorce papers. He had, excuse me, prostate cancer. And then after that, he was let go from his job from Desjardins Bank in Hollywood, Florida. So he's gone through a lot. So, I mean, he's dealing with a lot mentally. He pays his ex-wife $3,400 a month. He has to find ways in scraping that together, but he doesn't even have a job. Whatever he has saved, he has to give to her, and he has nothing left by the end of the month.
Okay.
So there's a lot of, issues, psychological issues that in my opinion, have been brought on because of his divorce. And some of the drinking played a part in it. His kids in college, which they've graduated, and just a bunch of things, displaced from his house, being forced to sell his house, being forced to pay our attorney's fee for the woman that cheated on him and left him for another man.
Okay, Ms. Fontaine, I'm asking you to stop. That's a little bit outside of what.
I know it's
what
outside
this
the
is,
realm, but
what this is designed to do today. So I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,500. I'm going to require that you have no hostile contact, and I can't order you folks into counseling, but I sure encourage you to participate in it. It sounds like it could be beneficial. And I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them in to to your local sheriff's office within 24 hours of your return to Miami.
He doesn't have any weapons or firearms.
Okay, please follow the officer out the blue door.
So what do I do?
Thank you again, Ms. Fontaine.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Judge.
All right, please state your name, sir.
Alexander So.
All right, Mr. So it indicates here that you do not qualify for a public defender. Is the frequency of your pay every 2 weeks? Is that accurate?
It just depends on the jobs that I have.
Okay, because that's what was checked, and that impacts your ability. So it's about $4,000 a month?
During the summer, yes, but I do HVAC, so it just varies throughout the season.
Okay. All right, well, based on what you've told us, you do not qualify for a public defender, so I can't appoint one at this time. All right, sir, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. I know this happened in a vehicle, so I don't know if you live together or not, but I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Importantly, if you're turning in weapons, leave them in the trunk of your car and let the deputy inside know, and they'll come out and get them. All right, please follow the officer out the blue door. Please step forward and state your name. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Johnson, you are here, you're a guest in the Orange County Jail by virtue of a warrant issued out of Polk County, and the judge in that county has set bond in the amount of none. So we'll notify Polk County that you're here, and if they don't pick you up within 24 hours, you can come back and I'll set a bond at that time.
Say if they don't pick me up in 24 hours, I can come back.
Yep, they'll bring you back to me. All right.
I'm sorry.
Your Honor, Nicholas Fedorchek bonded and Xavier Gonzalez also bonded.
Please step forward and state your name.
James Lindsley.
All right, Mr. Lindsley, you're here by virtue of a warrant issued by Seminole County, and the judge who signed the warrant set bond in the amount of $500, so I'll stay that bond.
Okay.
Brian Lopez bonded.
Okay, please step forward and state your name.
Brandon Romano.
All right, Mr. Romano, you're here by virtue of a warrant issued in Lake County, and the judge who signed that warrant put bond in the amount of none. So you, if they don't pick you up, then they'll bring you back to me and I'll set a bond. Please step forward and state your name.
Davis.
All right, Mr. Davis, you have been violated by your probation for a new offense committed on November 13th. You're scheduled for an in-jail violation of probation arraignment on November 21st in front of Judge Lattimore. So would you like the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in your new violation of probation proceeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, he doesn't qualify? And so you said no?
No, say yes.
Oh, yeah. All right, so it says here that your pay is every week. Is that accurate? Do you get paid every week? Okay, and the 600 is the correct amount? Yeah, so you don't qualify for a public defender based on that. You have no dependents? Yeah, so you don't qualify for a public defender, so I can't appoint him. But you'll be in front of Judge Lattimore on November 21st. Please state your name.
Rodney Day Jr.
All right, Mr. Day, so you got a new law violation on November 12th, 2022 that violated your probation. You do qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in the new VOP?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you, and you're scheduled for a VOP arraignment, in-jail arraignment on November 21st in front of Judge Lattimore.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Please step forward and state your name.
Dennis Esters.
All right, Mr. Esters, you got a new law violation on November 12th, 2022 that violated your probation. You do qualify for a public defender. Would you like the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in your VOP proceeding?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you, and you're scheduled for an arraignment on the VOP on November 21st in front of Judge Lattimore.
Joshua Holwick, review.
I don't have a PD form.
Okay.
If you temporarily appoint, Your Honor, I will waive the appearance.
All right, temporarily appoint the Office of the Public Defender, and he's set for an in-jail arraignment on November 28th, 2022. Please state your name.
Anthony Miller.
All right, Mr. Miller, this is a violation of probation signed by a judge, a warrant. And did you want the Public Defender's Office to represent you in the VOP, or are you going to get private counsel? Okay, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And you're scheduled for an arraignment on the VOP on November 28th, 2022 in front of Judge Lattimore.
The next defendant qualifies.
All right, please state your name, sir.
Ryan Mundle.
All right, Mr. Mundle, you're here. Sorry, what?
I was repeating my name.
Oh, thank you. All right, Mr. Mundle, a judge assigned a warrant for a violation of probation, set bond in the amount of none. You do qualify for a public defender. Would you like the Public Defender's Office to represent you in the VOP?
No.
All right, I'll appoint them, and you're scheduled for an arraignment on the VOP on November 28th in front of Judge Lattimore.
You have two cases.
And it's
They're both VOPs.
You want both to stay at 0?
Yes. All right, please step forward and state your name.
Antonio Washington.
All right, Mr. Washington, a judge assigned a warrant for a violation of probation, set bond in the amount of none. You do qualify for a public defender. Would you like the Office of the Public Defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the PD's office for the VOP, and you're scheduled for an in-jail arraignment on November 28th, 2022 in front of Judge Lattimore.
Anthony Worrell, refused.
All right, and I'll provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender, and he's scheduled for an arraignment on November 28th in front of Judge Lattimore.
And I will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
He refused.
Thank you. Are we ready on Prosper?
All right, if we can bring Mr. Prosper back in. All right, State, where are we at with Mr. Prosper?
Your Honor, unfortunately, we were not able to contact the victim. However, I do understand that Mr. Prosper has been in jail for 44 days, I believe it is. So at this time, State would offer an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and order restitution reserve as to the amount for 60 days, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Prosper, and I think, wasn't the PD appointed? Yeah, so I'll give Ms. Jordan an opportunity to catch up, but let me go over the offer with you. All right, so the state is offering an adjudication of guilt on both of the counts, the trespass in a structure and a criminal mischief, credit for your 44 days? 44 days time served. I have to assess mandatory court cost, And I'm going to order restitution, but reserve as to the amount for 60 days. In the arrest affidavit, it was alleged that there was $1,000 worth of damages to the apartment. So I'll reserve onto that for 60 days to give the state the opportunity to prove it. And I'm gonna require that you not return to the Central Station Apartments. So I'll give Ms. Jordan the opportunity to talk to you, and you can let me know if you want to resolve the case today on those terms.
I would like to resolve the case on those terms.
Hold on just a second. Talk to Ms. Jordan.
Okay, got it.
So it's an adjudication here, reserve and restitution for 60 days, no return, no contest.
Yes.
And court costs.
Is all I added. Saw it? Yeah, I don't know the names.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Prosper, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have any question about the rights you're giving up in exchange for your plea? No. Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking? No. Is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea agreement today?
Forcing.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation? Are you currently on probation for any other offense? All right. On the charge of trespass in a structure and criminal mischief, how do you plead?
Contest.
No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on both counts. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 44 days on both counts. I'm going to order restitution and reserve as to the amount for 60 days. I'm going to require that you not return to 480 North Orange Avenue, the Central Station Apartments. And I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs, cost of prosecution, and the PD lien. And Ms. Jordan, is your client, is he transient? Do I need to reduce it to a civil judgment?
Yes, Your Honor, he does work, and he, when he's out, he works, and he is not.
Okay, as to the financial obligations, I'm gonna give you 6 months to pay that off. If for any reason you're unable to pay it off within that time, you must report to the Orange County Clerk of Court and set up a payment plan.
No problem.
All right, Mr. Prosper, please follow the officer out the blue door.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. think somebody's supposed to be appearing virtually.
Okay, so it's not, okay. One that lingers. Really?
Stop it.
Really?
Welcome to an Acano meeting. You are entering the meeting now.
All right, good morning, this is Judge Caraballo. Who do I have on the video conference?
Good morning, Your Honor. Danielle Barbado on behalf of Alex Cardona Santiago.
Okay.
I think they just sprayed something. Your Honor, it's a 33-day motion. It should be granted notice of non-filing.
All right, I'll grant the motion, and so the defendant will be ROR'd, have no contact directly or indirectly with the victim or any witness, not return to the scene of the offense, and not to possess any weapons or firearms.
And just for the record, Your Honor, that is with regard to 22 CF 11857.
Correct. All right,
Thank
thank
you very
you.
much, Judge. Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well.
You are the only participant.
Okay, and I don't think, do we have anybody on William Richardson?
Okay, then Your Honor, I apologize. 22 CF 11743 and 22 CF 11744, both should be denied. Informations were filed.
All right, thank you. Do we have all these to do? Oh, okay.
Did you see how many there were? It's a lot.
All right, State of Florida versus Martin, 2022 CF 116200.
Granted notice of non-filing.
Oh, I don't have an order on this one. That's the notification from the state, so it doesn't even need it, I guess. I don't know, I don't have an order.
During the break between first and second, Your Honor, I can go ahead and print the order. There should have been an order. Usually they're attached.
All right, State of Florida versus Christopher Lynn, 2022 CF 11236 AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
All right. State of Florida versus Billman, 2022 CF 11728 AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
State of Florida versus Angelet, 22 CF 9343 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Flores, 22 CF 7062 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Lewis, 22 CF 11781 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Richardson, 22 11548 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
State of Florida versus Crawford, 22 CF 9515 AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
State of Florida versus Hall, 22 CF 11536 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Lewis, 22 CF 11753 AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
Florida versus Chang, 22 CF 11739 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Florida versus Mahone, 22 CF 11670 AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
Florida versus Kaufman, 22 CF 11828 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Florida versus Cummings, 22 CF 11827 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Florida versus Hill, 22 CF 11930 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Florida versus Gaston, 22 CF 11944 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Florida versus Mallet, 22 CF 11842 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Florida versus Robinson, 22 CF 11997 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Florida versus Balkamon, 22 CF 9804 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Florida versus Reyes, 22 CF 11863 AO.
Your Honor, a motion for extension of ROR was filed on November 9th. A proposed order should be present, stating that the 40th day is November 20th, and asking that if an information is not filed by that date, that it's e-filed. Hold on. Do what now? Remote? It's the same.
We'll set this one to the side and we'll recall it with that other one. And I don't have that motion or order, so.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right, Florida versus Glover, 22 CF 12024 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Florida versus Schermerhorn, 22 CF 11757 AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Florida versus Fuller, 22 CF 7222 AO. And 22 CF 12008 AO. Oh, is there another one? Yep, no, that's it, okay.
222, okay. For both of the Fullers, it should be granted, Your Honor. Notice of non-filing.
All right, Florida versus Jackson, 22 CF 10300 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
And we'll recall those other two cases,
2 cases, Your Honor, what 2 cases?
after the break. The one that, I need the Reyes, I need that motion and order, and then I need the order on Martin.
Okay,
I'm gonna print the order for Martin.
okay.
All right, so, it's 10:10 right now. Is, an hour enough time for everybody, or you need longer? Corrections? Is an hour, if we start at 11, does that give you enough time, or you need more?
Yes, Your Honor, can we get like an hour and a half?
11:30, is that gonna interfere with lunch, or you'll be okay?
I'm thinking lunch will be right on us at the same time, that's all.
So 11:30 will work for you, or you need more?
I think 11:30 is good.
All right, does that work for the clerk's office, 11:30? Does that work for the state and PD, 11:30?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll resume at 11:30 then. All right, thank you, we're off the record.